Welcome back. This is the first portion of the Ten Commandments kind of series. I decided to go ahead and do one and two. My name is Mr. Prescott. This is Christ Puzzle. Welcome back. Um, the first and the second commandment it's so much easier to put together because they kind of are one and the same. A little different, and we'll kind of go over that. But these are the first two that are the most important out of the 10. If you're not able to follow one and two, all the other commandments kind of just you wash away. You just kind of choose what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So getting one and two locked in really helps you with going through the remainder of them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go through number one. Okay. So like we said, we did a real quick, telling you what it is just to kind of get your mind working. Hopefully you've done your own research and you've actually opened up Exodus 21 through 17 and read it yourself. So don't always take my word for these things. Like you look inside your Bible, and if you do not have a Bible, you have the internet, I'm hoping. You'll be able to find it on Google just as I am. So I don't like excuses, so look it for yourself. It's good for you to see what is actually written instead of me just telling you. Okay? So, number one, right? You shall have no other gods before me. We try to make it very, very simple. No other, just God. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the person. It's not even a person. The everything that made heaven and earth. That is what we're getting at. We cannot even grasp what God is. If you really, in a human standpoint, like I have no idea. It's really hard to grasp someone that made everything and created time and insert blank. So basically, insert whatever was created on Earth. Boom. Just imagine our bodies. Like how does this all work? So God is something that's very, very unexplainable, um, not in a mortal sense. So, with further ado, with me all my ranting, uh, the biggest thing that we need to understand is that we need to have God be first. Okay, uh, through God, life is going to be much easier. Um, and I know it's like take your word for it, but it's God didn't design worshiping him to be so hard. It's very simple. So when we talk about the other gods, like I'm just gonna kind of go over, some of them. It's the gods of old and new. So people used to worship the sun, the moon. Some people still do. Um, Egyptians, the Ra, like the Vikings, Thor and Odin and things of that nature, the Greek mythology. These are a lot of gods that he's talking about. So just to kind of get an idea of what other gods, mostly other gods that did not exist. Okay, false gods. How do you make God first? What's the most precious thing that us as mortal humans have? Well, it's time. I know that might not look like a clock or an old school clock you used to put on your wall, but um, time is that's all he's asking for. He's asking for our time. So what does that mean? Worship, prayer, uh, Bible. These are the things that he wants. And it's not something that's very hard. It's just giving your time to him. And giving your time to him, he will reveal what is needed. And sometimes it doesn't always feel like that. I know firsthand, like there are trials and tribulations. Um, and it's not easy, but you just have to keep going with it. He's doing it on a purpose. He's teaching you a lesson somehow, some way, but you need to continuously follow God. Especially if you've been called. If Jesus is actually called to you and then you are filled with the Spirit and and you are aware, and you're aware you're sinning, and you know firsthand, like, I am doing the incorrect thing, you got to keep going, because it is worse to know and to just fall away and turn away than to not know and continue what you're doing and living as basically the son of Satan. So I know that's a lot, and some of these things I'll look over and I'll try to break some of these other things down, and you can say some things in the comments like, what do you mean by this? And then if I can make a video just on that for further explanation, because this is meant to be the foundation. This is not meant to be going into great depth, but we'll kind of break down things little by little and try to make it as super simple as possible. Okay. So like I said, the first and the second one, I just believe they're the most important. Okay. If you don't have these two ready to go, you're going to continuously justify not doing some of these commandments that, in my eyes, are pretty simple if you really think about it. So, number 2, you shall not make yourself an idol in any form. And I wanted to read the rest of it because that's just the short form of what's actually in the scripture. So, you shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You should not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. So that's the entire thing. We're talking about up, above, off the ground, no idols. And what does that mean today? What does that mean today? Well, we're going to skip this one because I kind of put it out of order, but it's all right. The biggest ones today is going to be, number 1, the self. More and more and more and more as the generations keep on going. You looking at me, this is what we see through life. Screens. So we live a lot of our life through the screens, and that's just the way that it has been developed. Okay, it didn't always used to be like that. Once the TV was invented, it just kept on getting more and more and more and more time with the screens. And what is that not with? That is not with God. So it's in my belief that it's all a part of the plan to get you away from God and to not even think of him. That's why we're going over the 10 Commandments, because some people, this is oblivious to them. This is the land of confusion, everybody, and you know it. I mean, just look outside. Look on your screen what it's telling you. People do not know up from down, right to left, and so on and so forth. So the self is the biggest one. We're worshiping ourselves. Just selfies, like always taking videos. Like you're only doing it for the attention of others. You're trying to become your own God. That's what that is. Even though oh no, that's not what I'm doing. Oh, that's exactly what you're doing. Okay. Some of this stuff is not. It's not evil. We make it evil, or we take it to an evil level. So money, success, women, men, depending on who you are, and fill in the blank. I mean, it's never ending. So there's nothing wrong with money. No, it's how you use money. It's how you try to obtain money. Same thing with success. There's nothing wrong with success, but sometimes that is the focal point of somebody. So they're taking their attention away from God, and they're making sure that it's all success. And at a time, I was guilty of that, and I was guilty of money, for sure, 100%. I saw and I climbed up as quickly as possible, but I did not have focus on God. And he took it away, and there you go. Sometimes that has to happen. And a lot of people's testimonies, if you actually are born, everybody's born in a sin, and not all individuals can just go right into church and being able to know God right away, having the correct family structure. So that was me. It took me a long time for me to understand that. And sometimes it's nice and quick for some people, and sometimes middle of life, end of life, like it happens in all aspects. So don't feel guilty. Like it's just the way it is. But the biggest thing is once you are aware of it, you need to hold on to it, and you need to keep on going, and you need to make God first. There's a reason why He opened up your eyes, and you need to find that out. You have to look within, and we'll talk about that on another video. Um, Women and men, okay, lusting over a certain person. Okay, it could be the pornography. It could be a supermodel, an actor, a musician. Um, a lot of people tend to hyper focus or just boom. That's all they see, and they want to be them, or they idolize them. They're thinking of them before God. So this is what he's talking about. I know this is a lot, but it's necessary because this is what's happening today. So if you're a crazy Justin Bieber fan, I'm just randomly picking somebody, and that's all you can focus on. You got all the pictures, and that's all you think of. Like that's what you're doing. You're idolizing that person. You're making that person your God, regardless of you if you want to accept it or not. That's exactly what's happening. Um, this could be the spiritual and the physical. Okay, so the idolizing in any form. So, I mean, we're talking about uh, carvings and different gods still, too, like even the gods of old. Some people still do this. So they still have some of these idols that are in their home, and they worship them instead of God. So that's a spiritual, but that's of the dragon. That's not of God. Okay, and the physical is obviously um, anything that you can touch, right? The physical, like Justin Bieber, like that person that is not a god, you're making them that. So this is just kind of a real quick overview. I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but hopefully you got the idea of what I'm trying to say. Just these are the two commandments that you really need to focus on. You need to make God your focus, okay? And that's even making God as your idol. You cannot even imagine what God is or what he looks like. That's an idol as well, okay? Because then you are like, I think I know what God is when you have no idea. I have no idea. So, any comments or anything like that, go ahead and leave them below. Some things probably disagree with. That's totally fine. I just like to see kind of what other people are thinking. Agree, disagree, doesn't matter to me. We will go ahead and continue on to number 3. Thanks for watching.